Panasonic VariCam LT. So thank you very much for that. First of all, we have to notice, look at the camera build. It's got a nice 230-inch lens on it, but wait a minute. We thought this was an EF mount camera. Why is there a PL mount on this?
It's your choice. I want to tell echo here. Basically, the camera comes with the EF mount as standard. But I did literally 12 minutes ago change the EF to a PL. Took me about 2 minutes. So very simple, very robust, and very swift.
Right, so field swappable, the user can do it on their...
Sure.
Yeah, absolutely perfect. And of course, we have our HD by 1.4 optical adapter on there, which converts the B4 mount 2/3-inch lens to a Super 16 projection. But that also means part of the updates that you guys are announcing are also maybe a Super 16 center crop mode. Is that true?
That's great. Basically, in the crop mode, basically we can work with a PL16 lenses natively. So if you're going to do that throwback to the 1950s look, you're welcome to try that as well. You know, flexible camera.
Yeah, and obviously we took off, just to fit on our current tripod, we took off the shoulder pad that was on there. But this really makes it a perfect kind of shoulder-mounted news gathering, the Cinema Verite type of camera.
Exactly so. I mean, you can use it basically on your shoulder, in your hand, you can cradle it, you know, jibs, movies, you name it basically. It's a little more flexible than the 35, and we intentionally did that because it was a different camera.
Right. But it still has all the same genesis.
It's a VariCam. Yeah, this is not a subset in terms of lesser quality. The VariCam images here, the dual native ISO camera images, so that's very important. The same codecs basically as the other VariCam. So it's a VariCam just designed for a different application, different users, and a different price point.
Yeah, and really important about the VariCam is the look. I mean, that's really the foundation, I would say.
It's synonymous, yes.
Absolutely. So this is great. I mean, obviously a very modular platform. Again, you have this nice lens. I love the screen on the back here, this modular mount. Really lets you position it. Like you said, Movi is great for us. When you mount it on Movi, you put this on the top bar. Not only does it serve as the menus, but this also gives you live picture.
That's correct, yeah. Basically, this is a control panel that comes off. Yeah. You can hold it, Steadicams, Movies, things like that. But it's also the camera interface. So basically, shutter, ISO, white points are all there. One quick menu change, you're there. Your producer can handhold it if he wants to. So it's really whatever you want to do with it.
So how long is this cord? And is this something that we can expand later? Or?
It's about 24 inches long. Okay. It's not too proprietary. We could expand it. Right now the camera's a month and a half old, so we haven't gone longer. But we've heard that, so I suspect we may respond to such requests.
Fantastic point. So like you mentioned earlier, it's got the same great features, the dual native ISO. I mean, that's been a huge, really...
It makes the camera literally so different. I mean, the fact you can work 5,000 ISO, you can shoot color, beautiful imagery, available light under 1 foot candle. And that is literally where you cannot see color, the camera can. And it'll, you know, come and see us on our booth. Lots of examples of that. But it is a different camera because of that technology. Native dual ISOs, 800 and 5,000.
Right, that's fantastic. So what other updates are coming? We know you guys introduced Panasonic RAW, obviously, partnership with Codex, but how's that been developing? Any new developments on that?
Basically, it's done. It's out there. There are things being shot as we speak today. OA, things like they're being shot in RAW. Codex is on our VariCam workflow on our booth. Please come and see it. Codex is great. It becomes an integral part of the VariCam 35. There are no buttons on the Codex. It's literally just the camera controls everything. It's part of the camera.
Right. And that docks on the back, yeah?
It docks on the back precisely. It's about maybe the size of a Hydron, basically, and loads from the top. That's fine. It's beautiful, 120 frames, uncompressed RAW. This is a different camera, different application, and so working with basically, again, 2 more technology partners, Atomos and Convergence Design. Right. You've probably seen their devices, the Odyssey Q7 Plus, things like that. They are waking up RAW modes to work with the VariCam LT. So basically we'll be coming out of the Monitor 1, Monitor 2 outputs with QSI passed RAW, up to 60 frames per second, uncompressed, recording on both devices. Very affordable, very practical. You may already own them, so that's available. And again, it's uncompressed RAW, which is in our thinking very important.
Right. And of course, internally, you're still getting that same 4K 30p AVC recording, right?
Yep, that's correct. So yeah, it's still the same VariCam codecs. No changes there. Actually, we've added some codecs in this case. Because the fact that we can do things like this 2K center crop mode, we're working up things like a 2K high speed, 2K 120 frames, 2K 240 frames mode. That is different from the other camera. The other camera does not crop. Different camera, different applications, different needs. Right. So we've really designed it to be a VariCam, but a different one.
Well, it's very modular. I think that's sort of the beauty of it, right? The shape of it lends itself to being customized to the users. needs.
That's correct.
I would say very adaptable. All right. So what else can you tell us about any of the new updates? Anything coming down the pipeline that you want to announce here at the stage for the first time?
Well, basically, in terms of, if you're familiar with the VeriCam 35, the camera came out in September of 2014, and it was a brand new camera to us, and it took about 6 to 9 months to get fully featured. We were getting updates every 3 months. We told you we're bringing out 4K 444. We did so on time. We're bringing out RAW. We did so on time. This being a subset of the VeriCam 35, it's basically there. It's all working. 2K, UHD, 4K, HD, high frame rate, crop modes are all basically active now. So you're not going to have to wait 6 months to find some feature that you urgently need. It's basically here today. Right. The ability to record RAW with either Convergence Design or Atomos, that's a software upgrade coming to the camera. It is free, no charge for that.
Great.
And that's typically going to be sometime in June. Look for more formal announcements, but we said June of this year. You're talking 2 months away.
Right.
May,
great.
June, there you are. So 2 months from now, from both Convergence Design, Atomos, as well as ourselves, will be a joint announcement of like, yes, we're ready. Download the update, put the SD card in the camera, have a cup of coffee, come back, and you're all ready.
Right. Now, can you speak to the RAW recording capability? Do you know on the other end of it, is there going to be a charge on that from those guys, Convergent Design or Atomos, your partners? Or do you think that's going to be bundled in part of their RAW recording package?
In terms of Convergent Design, that's a software upgrade. Sure. I don't know about charging. Okay. For the Atomos, it's actually a new recorder. Okay. They have a single recorder with a 12G HDSDI input.
Right. So the Inferno,
the new one, the Inferno Flying, basically the Inferno has 2 HDSDI inputs,
right.
2 3Gs, which we are mapping our raw data to that. So it's a new device, but it's really just the input which is changing per se.
Right. That's fantastic. And obviously we can't talk about VeriCam without talking about that live grading capability and the 3D LUT built in. We're actually doing a workshop in probably half an hour or so.
Yep.
So stick around, please. But on live color grading and that, so that's still built into this. That hasn't changed.
This is the VeriCam. In that extent, we haven't lost any functionality because that's a critical application where you're doing an ASIS workflow, on-set grading, previewing something. It's very important to make sure that you haven't saturated a channel, something like that. So whether you use internal 709 type, one light preview LUTs. You can build your own LUT. It's as simple as either working with Resolve or any other color grading programs, take some raw content, grade it the way you like, export that as a VLT, 3D LUT.
Right, that's built into Resolve now.
Yeah, precisely. Yeah. It's all there, basically. It's done, it's happened, nothing new here. But then drop that into the camera, and on the monitor outputs, you get exactly the preview you would see. So you can effectively light to a show lighting and know you're there, no guessing involved. If you're using something like the modular LED lights, or those intense spectral spikes, you can see with a LUT, am I clipping a channel or not? And that's saved a few productions, so that's important. Yeah. It also keeps the producers happy.
Right, it looks nice, like you said. Everyone looking at a monitor, sharing the monitor, they're looking, that looks exactly like the vision of the producer or the director.
It made sense to us, that's why it's in both cameras.
Yeah. Of course, there's built-in capabilities as well. You can control the ASE CDL parameters. So you can,
that's there by the menu panel, which is pretty simple to do.
Right.
Or you can use a Mac, as we're probably about to show them with POM4 Live Grade, something like that. It's a lot of choices in that respect. Do it wirelessly, you do it with a RG45, Cat 5 on the side. Right. Again, just choices.
Yeah, and that's great. Of course, one of the unique things, at least for me, it's great that the LUT carries with each of the...
Yes, that's another thing in terms of metadata. Doesn't mean a Sharpie writing on the side of a tape box anymore. Old technology, but everything's embedded in the files. The RAW, the proxy, or the main recording, the ISOs, the white points. There's a lot of metadata, even lens metadata is recorded on all 3 files. So if your producer's on a plane flying back to Hawaii, you can look in the XML. Oh, I use this lens. I'm at 17 millimeters. Right. Oh, I'm at 2.8. Oh, that's interesting. But it's there. Right. It's there in 5 years' time as well.
Great, that's fantastic. So looking at this configuration, I noticed the 12-pin Hirose cable is plugged straight into the camera body itself. So you're getting full lens metadata, full control for servo.
That's correct. Yeah, either by the lens port itself that's active, or by the the Hirose. Things like 2/3 B format lenses, even rolls record stops on there. Metadata as well, and also something like a Cabrio in the 4K land. Right. It plugs in as well. Great. Same reason.
So any limitations when you go into the Super 16 crop mode? Like what are we limiting?
You lose 4K. We are center cutting the imager, so we're going down to 2K native. Right. But you do gain the ability to go from 60 frames up to 240 frames. So a 240 frame 2K Bayer is rather nice. It looks remarkably clean, remarkably nice. And 240 frames per second is great for sports applications, natural history applications, special effects, who knows?
Right, and of course being that it's a big zoom lens like this, I mean that's one of the things when we shoot with these big sensor cameras these days, you start to lose that big zoom ratio that we're used to.
There are no 20:1 PLs.
Right, exactly right. It looks, everything's a 4x, 8x zoom ratio, but now with something like this, 17 by, 22 by.
And that's very much important. I mean, people are shooting documentary stuff. Natural history is a huge one for that.
Right.
Ability to do something like this makes the camera very flexible indeed.
Right. Yeah, you mentioned nature, right? That's perfect for it.
Yeah.
Big zoom.
Jackson Hole, this is a powerful option.
Yeah, plus 240 frames, you get that nice, beautiful wildlife. That's a fantastic
And
idea.
then you can just pop a normal PL prime on here and do your establishing shots or your narrative stuff. And it's flexibility is really the camera's about.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So of course, there's also the hand grip, which plugs into the same 12-pin Hiroshi connector.
Yep.
So if you do decide to switch back to, like you said, maybe a prime lens.
A prime lens or an EF mount, and then the thumb control actually handles the EF iris.
Right.
So you have control over iris.
Right. So all of the EF lenses are supported at this time?
Most of them do. We have a website, and there's about 25 up there so far. We have proven it to do so. The protocols vary slightly between the lenses, so we're a case of we are proving each one and publishing the fact rather than going on expectations.
Okay, so as you update, of course, you'll be updating that website.
It's on our website, yeah, it's live.
Right, but obviously the greatest hits of all the Canon lenses, I'm sure, are supported.
Yeah, they're there now, yeah. We have a list of
ones.
favorites, yes.
Yeah, absolutely. So single Express P2 card slot on the side. Also a SDHC and micro P2 card as well?
That's correct, yeah. Basically, either or. In this case, the VariCam 35 records a main, a sub, and a proxy.
Right.
In this case, we decided, the industry decided that the proxy was probably more than enough. Okay. 6 megabit, full resolution, 1080p proxy, up to 60 frames per second. And the main card can be HD, 2K, UHD, or 4K. The 256 card records up to 94 minutes of 4K. Not bad, an hour and a half.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
And there's a new card coming, which is 512 gigabytes.
Express P2, you say?
Express P2 gives you 3 hours at 24p at 4K.
And of course, Panasonic's always had rock solid and really reliable P2
P2 is our format.
Yeah.
We made this start about 14 years ago. Yeah. We control it, and it's controlled for the very good reason that it's our card, our protocols. It's remarkably stable. It's not a consumer device that's been leveraged into another workflow.
Right, and that's great. One of the other things too, I forgot to mention, we're talking about high-speed shooting and recording nature at 240 frames, but this camera also has a very unique capability of recording audio when you're shooting off speed.
Yes. You can shoot 24p on the 4K or variable frame rate, but you can actually set the proxy to be 30 or 60, so you have a real time, and you can mostly bounce between the special effects shots and your real-time audio for syncing or for nat sound or whatever else. So it's again, that's a little wrinkle that came back from user feedback. That's important user feedback to us as well as to yourselves. We can make the camera better, improve things, add more functionality.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're really looking forward to it. I mean, the VariCam has been a really beautiful camera. We know a lot of productions are using it actively, but to see it in the sort of new, exciting form factor is really interesting, and I'm happy you guys have sort of listened, like you said, to all the user feedback and designed a very modular.
We spent 6 months getting feedback, and the result is basically here in terms of what the wish list is, and we came pretty close to almost everything that was required.
Right.
Form factors, functionality, weight, balance.
Yeah, very good. Well, is there anything else you'd like to add in terms of updates? Anything that we've missed that you think our audience would like to know
I'll probably think of something in the next 3 or 4 days, but again, we're very open to feedback from anybody in terms of users. That's how we make the cameras better. And working with Abel for the last 15 years with the VariCam, so this is our 4th iteration, so thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you. I mean, this is, like you said, we've had a long partnership before my time. But
you're probably 4 years old at the time. But
a little older, perhaps, but this has been a great partnership, so I really appreciate that.
Yep.
So, Steve, again, thank you so much for joining us. This has been great. Really looking forward to this and seeing what you guys are going to be actively developing.
Well, thanks a lot, and have a great show, and see you next year. Maybe a new VariCam, who knows?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot.
And thanks for tuning. Stay tuned for more.